Your flesh is a creep, for your left leg's asleep. You have a cramp in your toes, a fly on your nose, some fluff in your lungs, a feverish tongue, a thirst that's intense, and a general sense that you haven't been sleeping in clover. Tune into your breath. Practice! Seashells over-articulate. Welcome back to Little Books, Great Stories. I'm Samantha Nair. Today we're going to be talking about tongue twisters, and I'll be sharing with you some tips and tricks on how to be a master at them. I've been constantly trying out different ways to improve my pronunciation, enunciation, and diction. And if you're like me, then I highly recommend that you practice tongue twisters because they are amazing voice and alliteration exercises. I've heard that even the greatest politicians, singers, actors, public figures, and anyone for that matter who wishes to make a mark, practice tongue twisters. So why don't we? So let's find out why tongue twisters are so hard. How about we take the classic example of "She sells seashells by the seashore." So this tongue twister, when you say it fast, chances are you'll mess up because the s and sh sounds make similar movements in your vocal tract, which cause the neural patterns to overlap, and that makes your brain overwhelmed. Like, she sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. See, because then the neural patterns were overlapping, so that caused my brain to get confused. So now let's move on to my list of tips and tricks on how to recite a tongue twister clearly. They've helped me a lot, and I hope they help you too. Number 1, exercise your tongue. Your tongue is also a muscle, and you may not have even known that. So you've got to keep it fit. One of the most common reasons why people can't say tongue twisters is thanks to a bad case of a lazy tongue. That's when you gobble up your words and don't complete your sentences. So you can talk all you want, but in the right way. So find a nice, comfy place to sit down and make sure your spine is straight and tall because good posture equals good recitation. And tune into your breath and blanket yourself in happy thoughts. So find some relaxing music. I'll play some for you right now. Never mind, just kidding. I don't even play the guitar. You can find plenty of good music out there on some other sources, but not on mine. Now that you're tongue ready, let's move on to tip number 2. Start by reading or listening to the tongue twister you would like to recite very carefully. Do this as many times as you need until every word of it is very clear. Tip number 3. Understand the tongue twister and visualize it. For example, if you were saying red leather, yellow leather, visualize the color red and visualize the color yellow. Then visualize a piece of red leather, then visualize a piece of yellow leather. There you go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Tip number 4. Recite it out loud and over-articulate. Pronounce every letter and emphasize clarity. Enunciate and give it all the expression that it needs. Then the final and most important tip is practice, 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 and practice! Yeah, you've got to practice. Now here we are to my favorite part. I'm gonna do a few tongue twisters with you all right now, and remember, always remember, to start slow and work your way up. I'll do it one time slow and then the next time fast. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would chuck, he would, as much as he could, if a woodchuck could chuck wood. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would chuck, he would, as much as he could if a woodchuck could chuck wood. A proper cup of coffee in a copper coffee cup. A proper cup of coffee in a copper coffee cup. I slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit. I slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit. If a Hottentot could talker, the tot could totter. Ought the Hottentot be taught to say ought, or what ought to be taughter? If a Hottentot could talker, the tot could totter. Ought the Hottentot be taught to say ought, or what ought to be taughter? Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope this video helped you. You'll be a tongue twister master in no time. So happy tongue twisting. And I'll also give you some time to subscribe as I, over here, practice my mega twister. You're a regular wreck with a crick in your neck, no wonder you snore, your head's on the floor, you've needles and pins from your soles to your shins, your flesh is a creep for your left leg's asleep, you have a cramp in your toes, a fly on your nose, some fluff in your lungs, a feverish tongue, a thirst that's intense and a general sense that you haven't been sleeping in clover. But the darkness is past, it's daylight at last, the night has been long and ditto ditto my song, thank goodness they are both of them over.